And today we have a special guest, Mr. Randy Sharber. Randy, how you doing?
Doing well. Thank you guys for having me here. I'm excited about doing this.
Well, thanks for making the trek to Knoxville, Tennessee to join us.
Back in the hometown.
This is home for me. This is where I went to school at Tennessee. My wife went to school here. My 3 children all here. So go Vols.
Well, Randy, you work for Triangle Fastener Company, right? Or Corporation, sorry.
That's correct.
And you interact a lot with the post frame side of the industry, on top of many other things, I'm sure. But we really would love to learn a little bit more about your history, your work history in the space. So if you could just kind of start, give us a little bit of background on who you are and your familiarity with this industry.
Sure, absolutely. My name is Randy Sharber. I work for Triangle Fastener Corporation. We are actually part of SFS. SFS bought us about 3 years ago. So we are a manufacturer and distributor of construction fasteners, not only in post frame, but in pre-engineered metal buildings, roofing, in all construction projects. We're extremely innovative. I think we'll get to talk about that here in a little while. I've enjoyed it. I've been with Triangle now for 8 years. Seems like longer than that, but I've enjoyed every second of it. Came out of the printing industry and did so much work with Triangle that I worked into another opportunity for me. And,
what were you doing with Triangle prior to when you were with printing?
Well, in most of their marketing materials.
Oh, okay. I didn't realize that.
Yeah, that's how it works. And I had a brother who is a manager at Triangle, so everything just kind of worked out for me. It was a big career change. I went from ad agencies to working with contractors, and I have to say I enjoy the contractors much.
Sure, more. Yeah, no, I get that. So your brother maybe works more in the office, managing the facilities and the people there, and that puts you out on the road interacting with customers and kind of getting hands-on with some of these projects. Is that correct?
Absolutely, that's correct. I cover about 4 states, and I also am very fortunate since I have the marketing background, I get the opportunity to travel to many of our trade shows that we have. NFBA being one, the National Frame Builders Association. I am the president of the Metal Building Contractors and Erectors Association in the Cumberland Valley chapter, which is just beginning here in Tennessee, and where we help train and educate contractors and erectors for that particular metal building industry. So it's just been great fun. I travel. I'm on the road every day.
Sometimes you're a delivery driver too.
Well, that was one of the things that really helped us is that, in order to open new territories, we're based out of Nashville, Tennessee. In order to come to West Tennessee, to East Tennessee, to these different areas, they don't want stuff in a week. They want it tomorrow.
Yeah.
The only way to get it to them is put it in a pickup truck and go.
Yeah. Hopefully we don't ask you to do that too often, but it is very helpful, that you're willing to come out here, and we got some post anchors and some other accessories from you today. So we appreciate that.
I was a delivery driver this morning too.
That is true. Yeah. Look at that.
It's called customer service.
That's right. Whatever it takes.
You do what it takes. That's
you got to get in a truck and go. You get in the truck and you go.
That's absolutely correct.
Yeah. Cool.
Well, Mason, you and I talked about this just the other day, but pole barns are commonly the language that we hear in our space, and we use post frame, or we've been using post frame quite a bit more. Can you give a little bit of a history lesson on the language of pole barns versus post frame and what we're seeing now?
Yeah, the terms are virtually interchangeable. Most people, or a lot of people, especially in the South, still call them pole barns to this day. But the term comes from when they used to literally use poles, like a telephone pole, to hold up their trusses and their headers and put a roof on top of it. It was a build made out of telephone poles, and they call it a pole barn. And now that we don't use round poles for these buildings anymore. We use square posts, like 6x6s or 8x8 post columns. So post frame building is kind of the correct industry term, but pole barn's very endearing.
So if anybody calls in and they call it a pole barn, we know what you're talking about, but we're going to give you posts.
The term pole barn's not going away, but yeah, you're not going to get telephone poles from us anymore.
Well, the industry has obviously changed quite a bit, over the years. And Randy, I know you've been in the space for, 8 years with Triangle. Kind of give me some of your insight or your observations on how the post frame world has evolved while you've been in the industry.
Well, I'll say this: the very first industry that I loved, that I just came to love within the fastener business, was post frame. It was my first large call with a national company, and I was, quite honestly, I was told within my company not to call on post frame business because there was no money in it. That's the absolute truth. It was such a commodity driven market. And I would say that's one of the things that I've seen has been the biggest change. We talked a little bit earlier, and what I've seen as a change. My very first NFBA, National Frame Builder Association show was in Nashville. And all it was commodity driven. Everybody had the same screw. It was the same metal. It was the same. Everybody was the same. And everybody that came through, all they wanted to know was my product cheaper? Was it cheaper? They didn't want to know about was it better? Was it easy for them to use? What value was added to it? They just wanted to know if it was cheaper than the guy's booth next to me.
Yeah.
And so that part has just gone away. A few years ago, I was in a show in Des Moines, Iowa. And it was the very first time that as we were displaying our products, that people came to us and were actually looking for quality products. It was the first time that anyone started to ask me about long life parts. And it's been an amazing turnaround. The other thing that I saw, and I don't know if you're ready for me to discuss this, but one of the things that I've seen has been from this industry turning into just the square box for a barn to now being anything you can imagine.
Barn dominiums.
Absolutely. Barn dominiums. As I was saying, in Williamson County, where I'm from, the barn dominiums there, the horse paddocks, everything that they're doing post frame.
Yeah.
And it's unbelievable, the beauty. I absolutely love it.
Yeah, we like the practicality. We get people who call in and they're like, "Hey, I need some outdoor storage," and we have these roof only kits that are really cost effective, and they'll put hay or equipment or whatever in the dry, and that's really practical. We also see people doing outdoor entertainment with smaller 20 by 20 or 16 by 16 truss setups. But yeah, then we get these people who are just like, "Hey, I love the way this looks. Can we add a roof line change? Can we change the elevation on one section? Can we add some Arcadian doors to it? Can we fancy it up? Can we put a cupola on top?" Mason loves his cupolas. And so we've seen this really great desire for almost like custom pole barns, and people are living in them. They're using them. Equestrian obviously has always been using. They've been using it for a long time, but they look much different now than they did 8-10 years ago. Were there as many steel trusses back when you first started, or was it more wood trusses?
No, it was primarily wood trusses. Yeah. I still see more wood trusses than I do steel, but there are quite a few suppliers that are coming up with that, and steel trusses they're gonna be there forever.
Yeah, that's one of the things that we've had the pleasure of partnering with some great partners in the steel truss category. And when I was asking, because I'm writing a blog, and I was like, well, what are the main advantages? And you think like the steel trusses are coated in a certain way where they're going to last. You're not going to have rust. You're not going to have breakdown, but you're also not going to have bugs or insects or carpenter bees or whatever the case may be, actually causing issues with the steel trusses, the part of the structure that's holding, the purlins and the roofing up. So you have this great longevity, and honestly, ease of application, I think, is one of the main things. Like, we've got a little sample out here in our showroom, and we move that display around to the different trade shows and events that we do, and people look at it and they're like, I could do that.
I can do that. Oh, yeah. I don't have to notch the posts.
Right.
I can do that.
Exactly. And you don't need the header boards, and everything is kind of supported by the steel trusses and the purlins. And we've just seen that that's a huge advantage for people who either want to save some money and do a small project on their home themselves, or at least understand the application. So if they're working with a contractor, they can look up and they can say, that doesn't look quite right, because the application is so simple.
That entire roof line is leaning.
Yeah.
45
well,
degrees.
I went and I unfortunately went and looked at a pole barn that was being built the other day, and it was not done right. So sometimes
you get
happens.
that from time to time.
Yeah.
Yeah. So Randy, you've seen all these changes over the years, kind of seen different trends in the post frame industry. What's Triangle done to adapt to some of those trends that are changing?
I honestly, I think Triangle's been in the forefront in the innovative products for this business. Number one is the actual pole barn screw that we use. We have a product called Burbuster that we're very proud of. Everybody in the industry has a Type 17 high-low part. And that's just what people do. And it's a very good part. I don't know of anyone in the industry that has a part that's bad. Right. But one of the things that the Burbuster was designed for, and you can see this, you can go to right outside of Knoxville here, you can go see the pole barns that have this problem. When you start putting a hole in a good sheet of metal, when you start to drill it, that Type 17 point will create what's called a pigtail. It's just going to do it. That's a metal shaving. And as soon as it rains on that metal shaving, you're going to get red rust.
Sure.
And it's going to rust on that your panel up there. And they're going to start looking at, well, good night. We have a 30 or 40 year guaranteed roof. It's already rusting. It's not the metal.
Right.
It's that metal shaving.
Yep.
That's happening, and our Burbuster cuts that down. It absolutely, and it's been very innovative.
How long has that been out? The Burbuster been out?
That part, I've been selling Burbuster for about 3 years now. Yeah. And at first there was a little bit of more cost associated with it, and I know that from a engineering standpoint. That there were some people within our own organizations like, we don't need to go there. It's going to put more costs, but it's been very
change is hard,
It
but it's one of those things where if we don't change, then we're going to be stuck where we are, and we really appreciate it. It's one of the reasons that we've wanted to continue to do business with you personally and with Triangle, and the partnership that Triangle has with SFS is, and we can talk about that in a second, but that's really attractive to me as somebody who knows a bit about SFS. I've worked with them in the past, and I kind of know their technology. I know about their forward thinking and their innovativeness, and then they paired that up with the customer service of Triangle, and I'm just like, man, this is going to be a home run, which it is, and we're very thankful for that partnership.
We appreciate it. We think the world of you guys, and another area that I'll say that Triangle has been very innovative in is, we'll call them stitch screws. It's your lap screw. Yep. And some use it on pole barns, some don't. It's always used in pre-engineered metal buildings. We have developed, and it's patented, what we call our VRT technology, which is vibration resistant technology. And if you look at that screw, there is an inverted thread right under the cap. And as you guys know, when being in the metal business, that building becomes a living, breathing machine. Yeah. And it's constantly moving. It's constantly racking. And one of the things that unfortunately we see in the industry is, hey, those screws are backing out.
Yep.
And that's going to happen.
Yep.
I mean, it's absolutely going to happen.
Yep.
So one of the things that we developed was this VRT, and I don't care how much that thing racks, it's not going to slip out. It's not going to back out.
Wow.
I'm very, very proud of that product too. And that is a TFC, specifically patented design.
How long is that? Is that a 7/8?
It is.
Okay.
It is. We have it 7/8. We have it in inch as well.
So it can be used for the ag panel, even if it's
it
a
could,
little bit, because I think
Absolutely.
the lap or the stitch screw is really the whole point is that it's not actually securing the fastener to the structure. It's just really pinching the panels where they lap together.
100% correct.
Okay.
Yeah. So it's not going into the frame of the building. And most people just use the 10 by inch and a half and go into the frame, and there's nothing wrong with that. It's just eventually those screws are going to back out. It's just going to have to.
The lap the lap stitch screw kind of creates this insurance where if you have movement and maybe some of your primary wood fasteners are backing out or moving, at least the seam where the water could potentially get through is still kind of being held together. I mean, is that kind of the practicality behind that part?
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. That's something we're very proud of.
Yeah. It's great. I didn't know about that.
I didn't either.
The
got some
vibration
research to do,
resistant. Yeah, that's great. Well, I'm sure our customers and anyone who's listening to this will.
We have a gentleman. Well, I'll have to give him a shout. His name's Joe Stager. Joe does a fantastic job product development for us, and that's one that we're very proud of.
Yeah, I'll check that out. Yeah, the phones are lighting up right now. Customers wanting to buy them.
Yeah. We talked a little bit. I talked a little bit about the partnership with SFS and Triangle. Tell me a little bit about how this works, because obviously you guys both have your own identities, I think, in the space.
Absolutely.
And like, how has that partnership worked where you've been able to still keep your brand recognition and some of your core values at Triangle, and SFS, I think, has, obviously there's some overlap, but there's some strengths that SFS has and there's some strengths that Triangle has. How has that worked?
It has worked very well. They have pretty much left us alone, which we really didn't think would happen. As soon as we were bought out, we were all afraid we were going to all lose our jobs. What they did was they loved our innovative products. We have another long length roof screw. It's called our concealer line. SFS is a European company, and they wanted to bring that part to Europe.
Oh, wow. Okay.
And that was a big part of it. But they also liked exactly what you just said. They like the fact that we have boots on the ground.
Yeah.
SFS is a traditional company that wants to deliver pallets and truckloads to people. And there's great value in that. There's nothing wrong with that. But you're not going to see your SFS rep, once every quarter possibly. Where I have guys that see me 4 or 5 times a week, just because it's what they need. So they did like that part that we have boots on the ground. We had been distributing SFS products, which are fabulous products. We've been distributing their products since I came on. So I'm sure it was long before that. But they do a good job of support. We do run into the same people, as you well know.
Yeah.
We do call on the same account sometimes, and so generally we just see who has the best relationship with them, and we tend to work that out. So it's been very synergistic. I think they've done a great job with us. I've been happy.
It's really refreshing to hear, because SFS is huge.
Yes.
And Triangle's big as well, but it's really refreshing to hear two big companies that have come together. And I know you're not competing for the same customers, but there is some overlap and going to market. And then for leadership just to say, whoever can take care of the customer best is the person that is going to take the lead on this account.
Putting the customer first.
It's so it shouldn't be so shocking, but in today's day and age, it is. And I mean, I give a ton of credit to Triangle and SFS for realizing how much value there is to that. And we have these same conversations with our customers. We're new to the Knoxville market. There's a lot of contractors who are already working with other providers, and our message is, hey, we don't want to disrupt any success that you're currently having, but if we can add some value, if we can be helpful then just we're here for you, you know. And I think people really appreciate that. You know, we don't need to come across as pushy. Of course, we want to grow and we want to be successful, but it should never come at the cost of the customer or the customer experience.
No, absolutely.
Yeah, Randy. Okay, so as we're wrapping up here, I got to ask. You get to travel around a lot. You get to see a lot of different projects, a lot of different companies. What's something that stands out to you in the post frame industry right now that you're really excited about?
Again, I would think I would have to go back to just the all the imagination that people have for what is coming next.
Yeah.
You know, to me, I've lived in the state of Tennessee my entire life. I have 3 children that live here. I know what it's like to buy homes in the state of Tennessee. We are inundated in the Nashville area with people moving here every day. There is a renaissance of rural living now. People are moving out of the city. There's no more room.
Right.
And one of the great things is the value that post frame building and construction brings to the construction project. Stick built is expensive. It's extremely expensive. I mean, you're building walls to support your entire house, whereas on the post frame, everything's is based on the strength of the poles.
Yeah. Right.
So it gives you a greater opportunity to give everyone what they want now, is that more open concept.
Right. I was going to say that.
Yeah, that's the thing that I love about it. The other thing that's great about it, and it's something that excites me, it's way more for you guys than it is for me, because I do not really dabble in this product. But the insulation that I see now for this is, it's incredible, because I was used to, when I first came in, I saw that double bubble.
Yeah.
And that's what it was. It's just everything's double, and it's big, cumbersome, and very, Now there's wafer thin materials. Sure. There's R values that are just incredible. So to me, I think it's that, what are they going to be able to do next with the post frame? What are they going to be able to build? Yeah. I never thought I would ever see what I've seen. These barn dominiums and things now are just absolutely beautiful. I would live in them. The other cool thing that I think and that comes from you guys is the metal coatings nowadays are far superior than even 8 years ago. Yeah. I mean, and that helps me sell my product, because you guys are doing such a good job in creating value for your customers. And you may have a 40-year warranty. I don't know what those warranties are or whatever, but they're, you've got coatings that are not going to fade. They're not going to chalk. They're not going to do it for a number of years. So now they're starting to come to me and say, we've bought this nice roof system. We need nice fasteners.
Right. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
I mean, why put a cheap fastener on there?
Right. You don't want your fastener to be the cheapest part of your roof.
Absolutely. Right. Absolutely
well,
not.
And we've seen, one of the things that we do to focus on quality is, we use domestic steel. All of our coated coils are domestic steel. They're all painted domestically. So when we're talking about the highest level of quality for these pole barn or these post frame applications, it's really nice to be able to pull out, hey, this is where the coil came from. Yep. We can show you that it was milled down in Mississippi, that SDI is the company that is providing us this coil. They're the ones who coated it. And that the warranty that's associated with it is going to be good. And if it's not, then we can go down to Mississippi and we'll get it solved down there. But to your point, the quality of the metal and the quality of all the components has really started to improve. The steel trusses are an upgrade. The long life screws are an upgrade. I think the post anchors, I don't know how long those have been around, but that's a really great alternative to setting your post in the ground, and having some alternative installation options is really cool.
Yeah, people know this stuff exists and they ask for it now. I mean, homeowners are smart and they educate themselves and they do research online and they come and say, I want that post that has rebar.
Yeah.
It goes into the concrete when it's wet. Okay, I didn't know that people knew this existed, but absolutely, and so they know there's different qualities in fasteners. They know there's different qualities in coatings, and they demand quality products, and that was the whole reason we even started this company, because we wanted to meet that demand. So. Wow, this was great. We're getting long-winded here. We're gonna have to wrap this one.
All right, we'll wrap it up. Well, Randy, thanks for joining us. We really appreciate it. Thanks for delivering our parts for us today.
Absolutely.
And we look forward to continuing on our relationship with Triangle and with SFS, and hopefully we can be innovative partners together.
Absolutely, and I'll tell you, the industry owes you two guys a lot, because not many of your competitors are out there educating people, and I think it's a fantastic thing. And as I've said before, you guys, I really admire the work that you guys do. So thank you for having me.
Appreciate that.
Thank you, Randy. We appreciate that. And thank you for listening to the podcast. If you liked what you listened to, go ahead and hit the follow button or the subscribe button, depending on which app you're using. And that helps us a lot. And you can always learn more at truemetalsupply.com/learn.